So we've done 3 moving mean, we've done 5 moving mean, now we're going to go into 4 moving mean. The reason we did it in that order is because 3 and 5 were odd numbers and it's easier to find the moving mean of odd numbers. But when we get to even numbers, it's a bit harder to find the average of even numbers without it pushing things off the main track that we're looking at. So let me show you what I mean. Let's start with the process, and I think you'll see as we go, but the process we're going to have to do is what's called centering. Every time we have an even number, so 4 being an even number of moving means, we're going to have to do a process called centering. I'll show you why in just a second, but let's get started and we'll see the problem. So just as normal, we're going to do the 4 moving mean, just like the 3 moving mean or the 5 moving mean, and let's see sort of what trouble we run into. So let's start with 4. We're now doing the 4 moving mean. 1, 2, 3, 4. And halfway sort of between there, that's this space here. And I'm just going to flip over to this extra page here for us. 10 plus 12 plus 6 plus 5. 10 plus 12 plus 6 plus 5. And we're using 4 pieces of data. So divide by 4 makes 11, 33, 43 on 4, which makes 10.75, and that's just a calculated job. So here's my first smooth value, 10.75. Let's do the next one. 12 and 6 and 5 and 22. $12 and 6 and 5 and 22 divided by 4 to find the mean, the average. That makes 34, 40, 45 divided by 4, which is going to be 11.25. Now I'll do it again. 11.25. Now I'm just going to keep doing that process. If you're really on top of this now, please just skip ahead, and you'll see when I start to fill out this column it might be time to skip back a bit and see what I'm saying about that. But I'm just going to go through that process now. Next, let's smooth the next 4. 6 and 5 and 22 and 18. Six plus 5 plus 22 plus 18 divided by 4. The mean is 51 over 4, which is let's go with, I think, 12.75. So 12.75. Now you can see we're obviously getting rid of these last 2 sort of pieces of data again this time. We're just going to keep going through that. Five plus 22 plus 18 plus 13. Divided by 4, 40, 53. 8 divided by 4 must be 9. 14.5. Yeah, it looks like I made a mistake. I've accidentally done the same one again. So this F1 here should have been what this was. So let me just get rid of that one there. That was meant to be 11.75. And then I'll have to do my next calculation as well. So that one there was the green one, and now let's go on to this dark green one, 13, 7, 9, 10. And last but not least, 9 plus 10 plus 8 plus 15. Alrighty, so we've now done the 4 mean smoothing. I'll shift that up so you can see I've done all in there, all of those there, pardon me. We've sort of got this problem though. So when we first smoothed 10 and 12 and 6 and 5, we smoothed them all and we got 10.75, that's all very good. But you can see my data's not really sitting on one of these points now. So you can see the light blue is not where the data's sitting, and the dark blue is where the data's sitting. So all of a sudden, when we've done a 4 moon smoothing, because the average of 4 is like halfway between 2 values, kind of like the median thinking, we've really just offset all our data not into the original spaces. So we should have had them in line with, you know, January, February, March, April. We should have been in line with all those things, but instead we're in this space here, this kind of no man's land. All my data is lined up with this space here. So we've got a problem with that. We now need to center it. We need to shift them back in. And what that really means is we have to do that process again. We have to like do a 2 moving mean kind of thing, and that'll center each one of them. So let me show you what I mean. We need to average these 2, because that will center them back onto here. So when we average these 4, it shifted it off in the middle of those 4 here onto a part that was not one of our months. Now we need to shift it back onto a month by averaging them again. So that's a bit of a lengthy process, but look, unfortunately we just have to do it. So you can imagine this is the kind of question you might get a multiple choice on, because definitely they're never going to test you for like, you know, it's going to take you 20 minutes to do this in an exam and it's only going to be worth 4 marks. So I'm just going to quickly average them now. So 10.75 plus 11.25. And because we're averaging, or taking the mean of 2 things, we're going to divide it by 2. So that makes 22 divided by 2, and that makes 11. So when we've smoothed these 2, or we've centered these 2, our new result is 11. And you can see we're now back on track. We happen to be back on track with the 6. So we're going to have to do that with each different one. So we now have to do this 11.25 and 12.75. So that'll go back on track in the dark blue again. 11.25 plus 12.75 divided by 2. And again, this time we're lucky. Again, they're working out to be quite even numbers. That's quite fortunate, but that's not necessarily always going to happen. That's just pure chance that that's happening. So there's my 12, and I'm going to average the next 2, 12.75 and 14.5. And 14.5, 2 pieces of data we're averaging, so we're going to divide it by 2, and now we're going to start to see 27.25. That definitely is not going to add up all pretty to be a nice even number. 13, I can't even do that in my head. That's 11, that's not right. 13.625. 13. So again, I'm just going to keep doing that process all the way to the end until I've done these last two. So I'm going to do these two and these two, and also let's not neglect the ones in the middle. I'm going to have to do these two and these two and these two, and that'll be all the ones I do. I might just